Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you guys for joining us again on another episode of the Move with the Military podcast. So each episode, we try to bring you something that is valuable, informational, service oriented. And I am very pleased to have Kaitlin Walker join us today. She is a military spouse whose family is currently stationed at Scott Air Force Base. So, Kaitlin, you carry a very important role in the military spouse community and for military families across the board. You are a KSL, which formerly was known as a key spouse. And some people may not know what either one of those are. So, can you tell us a little bit what KSL stands for and what your role as a KSL is, what you do?
Of course. So as you said, it was formerly known as the Key Spouse program. They changed it to KSL, which stands for the Key Support Liaison.
Okay.
It's still mixed reviews within the spouse community since they wanted to make it more of an inclusive program. So it went from focusing on how can the people as since it is a voluntary position within our squadron, how can us as KSLs support other spouses when their husband is TDY, deployed, or even when they're here if they need something? We're kind of the bridge between the active duty and the civilians. So we basically help plan events, squadron events, and just making sure everyone's all right. We set up meal trains for anyone who's had a new baby, or if they're going through a medical crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We also help there too. We just try our best to make sure everyone's supported and doesn't really fall through the cracks. The change for when it came to the KSLs, they opened it up wider to, instead of just focusing on married in spouses and partners, it's now extended to single airmen, people's whoever they're dating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a better way to get adjusted into the military life if you don't really know it, like I didn't, and kind of got slapped in the face with all the stuff that comes with the military.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So is that what kind of drives you to volunteer? Because it's a volunteer position, right? You're not
Yes.
assigned that role.
It is completely voluntary. All I had to do was really take what their program course is and then meet with the commander, and he signed a slip of paper.
Okay.
And I meet with the commander once a month if his schedule allows, and met with him yesterday to discuss our Christmas party plans for the squadron. So
Very good.
we're just trying to keep on top of that stuff.
So how many of these KSLs are at each base?
It can range just depending on per squadron,
So
because
each
each
squadron
squadron
has their own.
has their own KSLs. For us, it's me and two other people for our squadron. But if you go to the Civil Engineering Squadron, they have 12 different ones.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then you guys all work collaboratively to coordinate the support for everyone in that squadron. Are you guys
We
assigned
keep it.
individuals?
We keep it squadron based. It is very about once in a blue moon we'll everyone will meet up, but that's only at the wing commander's request. Other than that, we're kind of just doing our own thing.
Okay, very good. Now, how long have you been a military spouse?
Uh Set almost 8 years now.
That was very good. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, that was my rude awakening to the military. Was I had an idea of it because my grandfather was in the military, so I'd always hear stories from my dad about them moving around a couple of times
Sure.
before my grandpa retired. But I didn't realize that when we first got our first assigned base, that can be taken away and changed rather quickly. So it's we graduated college, we got married, we were on a mini honeymoon because we had to be at the first base in 2 weeks after the wedding. So, and it was on like that mini honeymoon, like a week and a half before we were supposed to move. And they're like, instead of going to North Dakota, you're not going to Idaho. And we
Ah,
had no say in it.
2 weeks before, huh?
Yeah, so we had to like scramble back to our house after the trip and quickly rent a U-Haul, and a 7 hour trip to the first base turned into 17 and a half hours.
Oh,
And it was like,
resilience.
yeah, you definitely need some sort of resilience to be a military spouser because it is what they don't say is unforgiving. You don't get much of a say in things that are happening.
Yeah. So, how are individuals that are going to be moving, PCSing into, let's say, Scott Air Force Base, and they're going to be part of your squadron? How do they find you? How do they get connected with you?
So we have it set up where when a new airman comes in, so we know the airman coming in, and then like we discover if like they have anyone coming with them, family or if they're single, and then they get a welcome packet when they get to our squadron of typical paperwork that the service member needs to fill out. But in there is a slip of paper of contact information for like if your spouse wants to be contacted by us, since there are some that want absolutely nothing to do with military life. So they're just emergency contact only. And so that's how I guess we decide it, because we'll do like monthly reach outs to see if anyone needs anything.
Mm-hmm.
But as of late, it's only been single airmen coming in, so they're pretty well off sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you never know. They might still need some resources, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so what is your main goal as a military spouse?
To help people not have the same experience I did going to the first base, or like kind of going from civilian life straight to military life, not knowing that there are certain bases out there that will divide based on rank.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like I grew up right outside of Offutt, where I always saw officers and enlisted always mingling. So I'm like, what was the problem with it? But then when I got to Mountain Home, I was the only officer's wife in the base orientation. And so when the head enlisted spouse was talking about all the activities the enlisted spouses do, I was just met with a cold shoulder when I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. And then they asked what my husband's rank was. And I
Hmm.
got basically shunned at a table full of like five other women just because of my husband's rank. I'm like, that's not right.
No, that's
I'm like, my husband's rank does not define who or what I get to do.
right. Or the support, or
Yeah, or the
yeah,
support
that's a
I get,
shame.
because the head officer spouse was supposed to be there too, but she wasn't. So I was kind of like sitting there like, okay, well, then what do I do? And I guess that was like the first introduction of like, okay, I don't really want other spouses to like face this too, because then you're like, okay, then where are my people?
Right, right.
And then also the question of like, why can't I converse with you or anything else?
Did that change? How long were you guys at Mountain Home?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we were there when the pandemic hit, and then we left there shortly after, like the in January of 21.
Okay. So when you have an airman that is PCSing out of your squadron, are you guys able to assist them with finding who their KSL at the new base is, or do you guys not have any of that information?
We typically don't have any of that information. What happens is the service member that's moving will be reached out to by a sponsor at their next base.
Mm-hmm.
So then, because the next base already knows this person is coming, has the contact information for the service member. So it's kind of just you always start with the service member goes first,
Okay.
um, when it comes to getting like initiated into a squadron, because they get about, I want to say, nearly 2 weeks before they have to like fully be at work. So because whenever you move bases, there's paperwork and other stuff that needs to be filled out
Sure.
before they go to the full job. And
Sure.
it's within that paperwork that you give your information on if you want to be contacted or not for any sort of squadron events.
Ah, so sometimes the spouse or significant other may not get contacted if their service, man or woman does not fill that form out.
Pretty much, yes, and it happens way more often than you think.
I
We,
believe
we
it.
have
I
to kind of
believe
jab at them. We gotta be like, did you fill it out? Did you fill it out? Did you give it to your spouse? Did you?
it. For sure, you guys would have to be very diligent because there's so much paperwork. I can see that easily just being overlooked,
Mhm.
not thinking that's anything of significance, really, when it's a key piece. It's a huge piece.
Yeah, and if something happens to you on the job and stuff, how are we gonna like? It's also like a safety net. Like, how are we gonna contact your spouse if something happens to you while you're at work?
Sure, sure.
Yes, you have like what I think my husband called the red card, but you have like how who else needs to be contacted, because you can even put your parents down as somebody to be contacted about events or whatever. Because that's another thing. One of the other KSLs in our squadron is pushing for is for like the single airmen to like list their parents that get like the monthly squadron newsletter to see what their kid is doing, because she just had two kids enlist and she's like,
Hmm.
I would love to know what my child is doing because they don't talk to me daily.
Right, absolutely. It helps the family feel connected with,
Yes.
yeah, with their service member. Absolutely, I can see that. Oh, so what really drives you to help other spouses and help us grow this app? A lot of the app comes from the pain points that you are mentioning. So working with individuals such as yourself has been such a joy and pleasure and a blessing for us. And you have been such a huge help without any question. You just dove right in to help build out, especially the Scott Air Force Base community, which we will be going live with soon in the app. But yeah, what really drives you to help them?
Short answer, it gives me something to do during the day.
I'll take it. Uh,
With like being a stay-at-home mom, like I have two kids running around, but lately school started, so I'm like kind of finding myself with a lot more free time.
sure.
But I'm really like driven to help because when I looked at the app before I started like when you first reached out, because right before that I got like a little spam messages, so I was like a little hazy.
Yeah.
And of course, my husband's like, just take a chance. I'm like, okay. But
Well, appreciate. I'm glad you did.
for what I typically do every single time we move is look at pretty much every single aspect of what that app is. And especially now with like kids, it's like, okay, now I need to know like schools and districts and ratings and all this extra stuff. And before we moved here, my husband gave me the list of possible bases that we could go to. And I made a giant long PowerPoint on all 15 bases that were possible.
Oh my
That
goodness.
included like the housing rating, the things to do in the area, what, stupidly enough, what amenities the BX had when it came to food. I'm like, well, this one has a Qdoba, but this base over here has a Taco Bell still. Or this one has a Burger King and this one doesn't. And it's just like, it was like little things like that because I'm like, there's going to be days where we do not want to cook, but we also don't want to drive very far to go get food.
Right, right. Because I mean, military bases aren't smack dab in the middle of a suburb or
Yeah, not many
you know
of them.
a city where you can just go outside of the base and grab fast food. So let's talk about let's explain this to someone when you say the PX and talk about the different restaurants that are on base. Explain that a little bit further for individuals that don't understand, I guess, the different on base amenities like that.
Yeah, so the each base typically comes like with a commissary and a BX, or as I newly learned, a PX, which is like post exchange for army bases.
Hmm.
Only because we visited my sister-in-law who's currently at Leavenworth. And so I learned something new, but um, typically the base exchanges have at least like 3 to 4 different kind of food court style restaurants. So here we have a Domino's, um, a Qdoba, a Panda Express, a Charlie's. I think we still have a Smoothie King. It might be on
Nice.
renovation. And then a Starbucks, and then there's a Burger King that has its own building off the path, and then there's also like another little coffee shop next to the MFRC building, which is just strictly military based, but they serve Starbucks coffee, which is the weirdest thing. But each base is like pretty different. But what I've noticed is like the main staples per base are a Starbucks and a Burger King, because I'm pretty sure they have a not military, a contract with the military to have those types of places. Because
Okay.
when we came from Mountain Home, they had a Popeyes, which was fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
Here, there's no Popeyes unless you drive 5 miles away.
Well, you just gave me an idea because, and we'll talk about this offline, but we need to see if we can add that in the app for the installation resources
Mhm.
section. What, if it's a PXBX, whatever, but what those on base amenities are. Because that's one thing I didn't even think of. And, we did poll a lot of spouses, but we could poll 100 spouses and get 100 different ideas on what we can add into the app. And so if we can add that, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean, each base has its own thing. Because like here, they have two different gyms too, so it's hard. It was hard understanding at first which gym is which, but after a year, I finally understand.
yeah. So
Not based on location.
how many bases have you guys PCS to? How many have you been stationed at?
We have been stationed at two, almost three. I
Almost
only say
three.
almost three because we were in the middle of a move when they redirected us here.
Oh my gosh! So twice that happened to you.
Yes, twice in a row, actually.
Oh my gosh!
The
So
second time was a way more of a bummer.
hmm.
We were supposed to go to Japan, so
Oh, you were looking
that
forward
was
to
that
that.
was a bummer.
Yeah. So is that still a possibility, or are you guys pretty much set at Scott, or do you know?
No, we're actually getting in February. We'll move again.
Okay, but you
Up
don't
to
know
off,
where yet.
actually.
Oh, to off it?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. All right.
So the great part is we'll be home. So
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Now, that's the one thing that I've said time and time again with the app is I really can tell right off the bat the people that are giving, want to serve, want to give back, and just help create a better life across the board for our military members and their families. And you, right off the bat, were jumped right in, willing to answer questions. Let me just pick your brain. And I just appreciate you very much, tremendously. And appreciate you sharing your story, a little bit of the information. Maybe it'll reach some military spouses whose spouse or partner did not get them.
I told
Oh,
you.
is that one of the jets?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
there
a
you go.
transient base.
There you go, folks. Straight from Scott Air Force Base.
We got some jets. Why not?
Yep, that's right. Exactly. It's such as the life of the military spouse in the Air Force Base. But no, truly do appreciate it tremendously, and hopefully we can share some information with some spouses that don't realize that resource, that KSL, is there in their squadron, and they can start asking around because it is. I think more common that I hear that they don't know that those resources are there, and it's different branches of service, I'm sure, are structured differently also, but I know that there is that support liaison within every branch of service. It's just getting the information to the people. So
That's the biggest struggle sometimes is trying to get the information because at Mountain Home I did not know who my key spouse was for the longest time,
mm-hmm.
even though they waited 4 months after we arrived to actually reach out to me. So
Right.
again, another not good start. So it's like we tried to get like the information pretty early on to be like, even if they're like 2 weeks out, still we're trying to still reach out to them, being like, hey, welcome.
Absolutely. It's it's a scary um feeling. You're moving in somewhere you know nothing about. You don't know anybody. So, well, thank you again for what you do. It's tremendous and very giving in such a servant's heart. So, and thank you for your spouse's service and for your service and dedication and supporting and your children's as well.
And thank you for making this app, because honestly, it is a godsend.
Oh, well, thank you. That makes me feel wonderful. I appreciate that feedback. All right, folks. Well, if you ever have any questions, I mean, you can always reach out to one of us in the app. We can help you try to find out who your support system is there on your base. Know that there is that support. Sometimes you just have to reach out and ask, and you'll find hopefully someone as giving and supportive as Katie. So, all right. Well, we'll see everybody later. And Katie, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.